The most famous atheist probably ever to exist made the most humiliating statement of admitting God exists, but just calling him by a different name. This is the video clip that most people haven't seen that probably ruined Richard Dawkins' career. Let's listen.
Then who did create the heavens and the earth?
Why do you use the word who? You see, you immediately beg the question by using the word who.
Well, then how did it get created?
Well, by a very slow process.
Well, how did it start?
Nobody knows how it started. We know the kind of event that it must have been. We know the sort of event that must have happened for the origin of life.
This is in reference to like a Big Bang type scenario. But again, somebody as smart as a PhD like Richard Dawkins should know simple science in the sense of nothing or something cannot come out of nothing. And the Big Bang still doesn't answer the question of where this bang, where the molecules for the bang came from in the first place.
What was that?
It was the origin of the first self-replicating molecule.
Right.
Where did it come from? Where did this first self-replicating molecule come from? It didn't just come into existence. That's impossible.
How did that happen?
I told you we don't know.
So you have no idea how it started?
No, nor has anybody.
Nor has anyone else. What do you think is the possibility that intelligent design might turn out to be the answer to some issues in genetics or in...
Now, by the way, I watched an interview just as of today, actually, where he refers back to this clip and he says that he thinks that the gentleman who is interviewing him right now was actually also an atheist and just asking him questions. And he then goes on to say, I would not have answered this question this way if I would have known that it was somebody who believes in a creator asking the question, which I thought was really interesting because it shows that his motive isn't just to share truth or what he believes, but rather to share a specific agenda that he's trying to get pushed across to people.
Well, evolution.
It could come about in the following way. It could be that...
Listen to this. This right here is the crux of his argument that like makes him admit that he doesn't even believe atheism necessarily.
At some earlier time, somewhere in the universe,
some earlier time, somewhere in the universe. Okay, I'm agreeing with this so far.
Civilization evolved by probably some kind of Darwin.
Still had to have evolution by Darwinian evolution. That's funny.
To a very, very high level of technology and designed a form of life that they...
So a really, really intelligent group outside of our universe had part to do with creating, and probably there's some sort of evolution involved anyways.
...seeded onto perhaps this planet. Now, that is a possibility and an intriguing possibility.
Not only is this a possibility, it's an intriguing possibility. It means that he actually genuinely takes this possibility seriously.
And I suppose it's possible that you might find evidence for that if you look at the details of biochemistry, molecular biology. You might find a signature of some sort of designer.
Wait a second.
There's a designer that is from another planet or dimension or another galaxy that was smart enough and maybe after a span of time of existence was able to create life because they had the intelligence and the know-how and ability to do so. I agree. I agree with everything that Richard Dawkins just said. There is a creator that is somewhere outside of where we are or who created everything. Yeah, his name is Yahweh, and he created everything. You want to call him an alien and really think about why he would call him an alien or this creator thingy, an alien versus calling him God or Yahweh or Yeshua or Jesus. There's only one really clear, evident reason for this. And it's because if you believe what he is saying right here, then that means that you are able to skirt past any sort of moral accountability or responsibility, but still believe the same fundamental principle that a creator created everything. What? The fact that the most intelligent atheist of our day came to the conclusion that a creator created everything, to me, is absolutely insanity. This is the most weak thing I've ever heard in any of this very intellectual man's arguments, is all the atheistic arguments that he's ever done. And if you really look at all of his debates that he's ever done, his real debate, his real push, his real emphasis is on evolution. It's not even on there being a lack of a God. Now, obviously, he wrote The God Delusion and all the reasons that he thinks that, especially the Christian God, is a messed up one for the things that he believes are unethical done in the Old Testament, which is ironic because he's an atheist, so he has no such thing as ethics anyways, an objective standard of ethics, excuse me. So, by the way, for all you atheists in the comments, what I did not just say is that he's not able to be ethical or moral. he just has no standard for ethics or moral. So he can say that he feels like what he's doing is moral, but there's no such thing as morality anyways. He could do what he's doing or he could rape and pillage, and neither of them are moral or immoral. They just are. We're just molecules dancing in motion to the beat of our own DNA, like he believes, right? So he's saying in all of his arguments that he has that evolution is the push that he wants to make, that there's hundreds of millions, maybe even billions of years where everything has came into existence in the way that we have them today, which is fascinating. He even mentions in another debate that I've seen where he's actually not debating, but he's having a conversation with another atheist in front of a live crowd. And they talk about the reality of the gaps in the evolutionary process. So they're saying, we have us today, we have fish, and those fish turned into humans after hundreds of millions of years, more than likely, but we don't have any half fish, half men. And why is that? Well, they'd say, there's a very big gaps in our evolutionary process that we just can't account for, and we're just not sure why. Maybe it was not during an ice age or something like that where these fossils were able to be pressed down and formulated together. Maybe it wasn't during a time where the temperatures or the weather on the earth was right. We're not sure. Guys, they make the exact same argument towards us where they call it the God of the gaps argument, where they're fundamentally saying that whenever we don't have a clear, explicit answer from the scriptures, that we just say, God did it, or God just wanted it to be that way. And atheists will argue that Christians use the God of the gaps argument, meaning whenever we don't have a clear answer, we just say, God did it. You're doing the same thing with evolution right now. You're doing the exact same thing, saying their words where we have a gap in the process. Fish, human. We know fish became human, but we have no evidence in the process in between. It's not like they have a fish with just one arm or with little human arms or with any sort of clear evidence of the bodily structure being similar to a human. We just don't have every one of the process. They have none, zero, literally zero. Yet they're still going to say that they believe that has more weight to hold to it than Christianity. Now, I, as a Christian, have no reason to believe that there's any sort of specific clarity in the Bible about the age of the earth. Here's one of the things that people forget when they consider the process of aging found scripturally. First off, they try to find a genealogy and track all of the ages of the genealogy, add them up, and find around 6,000 years. Few problems with this. First off, this is assuming that you are certain, 100% certain that those 7 days of creation were 7 literal days of creation, meaning 7 24-hour spans, could have been in that day or in that time of life. Just like we say, so-and-so was a great football player in his day. I'm not saying that is what it is. I'm just saying it could be that. Also, we don't know how old Adam and Eve were, and if they were aging at all during the times between they were created and between the times they sinned. We don't know if they're aging during that period. The Bible obviously makes it seem with the way that it reads as it's you flip, a paragraph down and they've now automatically sinned and then been kicked out of the garden. But that could have been 100,000 years, 1,000,000 years, 1,000,000,000 years for all we know. And I'm not even saying old earth versus new earth. I'm just saying you don't know. So Christians really need to stop making that argument when they're trying to debate with people, because it's not really getting you anywhere at the end of the day, just being really honest. So my point is, his whole premise, Richard Dawkins' whole premise, is heavily emphasized on evolution. And again, if you watch his material, you'll see this is very evident. It's not necessarily even on God. So his big thing is on evolution and the God of the Bible being immoral, and thinking that the homophobia and hatred of women in Islam and etc. Again, his words, not mine. He has a problem with that. But he doesn't even necessarily have a huge problem with everything else. At least he doesn't talk regularly about those things. The things I just mentioned is what he talks about. Evolution and the mean God of the Old Testament. So my point is, he just admitted to the same thing that I would say. He said it a little bit different. He called it an alien. He said that alien would have created people with an evolutionary process. I don't think God needed time for things to evolve. I think he could just create with his mouth. But at the end of the day, I agree with what he said. And I don't know why more Christians are talking about this clip, because if this clip right here goes viral, we'll have a whole lot of Christians being able to show atheists this clip and a whole lot of atheists being able to convert to Christianity, because the atheist actually agrees with us. Their lead king atheist agrees with what Christians believe anyway. So if that's been a benefit, please subscribe, watch this video for more. We'll chat with you guys soon.